Hello all, and welcome to Explained with Don. This video I actually teased a tiny bit last week when I was mentioning the impact of the melting of the Thwaites Glacier, also known as the Doomsday Glacier, or what I call it, Doomsday. When I was saying that many cities will go underwater, including Jakarta, although it is already sinking, and Indonesia is building a new capital. Which is what I'm going to elaborate on quite a bit more today. With sea levels rising, every single coastal city is going to be affected very soon due to the fact that they're likely to have parts of it underwater. But Jakarta has a very unique problem, because the land of Jakarta is actually sinking as well, which means while sea levels are rising up onto Jakarta, Jakarta is sinking down. That was a terrible example with my hands there, but I think you're getting the gist. The reasoning for this is illegal groundwater extraction. You see, most of the population of Jakarta is rather poor, which means that many of them do not have access to water through pipelines, because infrastructure in Indonesia as a whole is not known for being the best infrastructure worldwide. Which means that many people are extracting water from the ground, which actually lowers down, I don't know why I'm doing this again, but it actually lowers down the soil overall. So Jakarta has sank by 4 meters in the past 20 years. That is quite a bit, especially while sea levels are rising simultaneously. And Jakarta was already quite near the coast, which means that in a matter of years, in 10 years, Jakarta will be mostly underwater due to this, if this continues at the rate that it's going. What this means is that Indonesia is going to have to change their capital very, very soon. In fact, they have known this for years. They've known that Jakarta has been sinking, and they've been planning to make a new capital city. I've been researching this for a very long time. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago when I did a presentation about it in class. So, obviously, things have progressed forward a bit, but we still do not know exactly where this new capital will be. Although we know approximately. We know it's going to be on the island of East Borneo, and we know it's going to be around the area of Samarinda or Balikpapan. Jakarta is not the only city in the region that is sinking. Nearby cities such as Bangkok and Dhaka are sinking due to the exact same reason. They are sinking at a slower rate. Jakarta is moving unusually fast, but there are quite a few cities that are sinking, and Thailand and Bangladesh for sure in a couple of years are going to be in the same situation of likely having to move their capital city due to it likely being underwater in a couple of years. Another city that's sinking is actually New Orleans, and I could go straight into song right now, and it turns out that the Tragically Hip were perfectly right, that New Orleans is sinking, and you probably do not want to swim, although this is due to loose soil around. New Orleans was always bad construction. The fact that they built it there in the first place, although this was many, many, many years ago, obviously they didn't know that was terrible soil, but it was not the best place to put a major city. And now that the population has expanded more and more and more, it's actually pushing the soil down, believe it or not. Plus, once again, rising sea levels could pose to be quite a big issue for New Orleans. Another city that is in that situation would be Venice. And again, I could go straight into song because the Spirit of the West was right. And you probably will go under unless you leave Venice very soon. Venice, again, is right on the water, and with its sinking plus sea levels rising, Venice will probably be the very first city to go, likely even before Jakarta, because of Venice's flooding already. It would not shock me if in the next 3 years, then Venice is mostly abandoned due to all the flooding right now. And year after year, it's only going to get worse from here, which will not pose well for any of these cities, especially Venice. So this is one of the worst effects of climate change. Although there are plenty very, very worse ones that we could go into. But that's not what this video is about. And sadly, as I mentioned last week, there isn't much we can do to stop it. Likely, most of these cities will be gone by 2050 due to rising sea levels. The only other thing we learned today is that for some reason, bands seem to have a weird obsession with making songs about cities sinking, specifically Canadian bands, in cities for completely different countries, and yet they're somehow right. But for now, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys again in a week.